Nice to meet you all people, lovely people, Android developers and others. So essentially, my name is Kunle, and I'm an Android developer. I've been doing software development for 4 years, Android on and off for 4 years, but professionally, the last 2 years, I've been mainly focused on Android. And funny enough, yesterday was my last day at the Telegraph, so yeah, awkward, but yeah, so I guess it's a job interview, I guess. But essentially, my experience here at Telegraph allowed me to explore one of the areas that really caught my attention the last couple of months, and it's augmented reality. So it was a case where, if some of you might have the Telegraph app, and we were planning on doing an article which was about space, and we wanted to be in a sense where people can click on an image and they can see a virtual reality of the solar system. So, and that way they can interact. So that would be another way for our users to engage with our content, essentially. So we were tasked to do a little mini side project about augmented reality, and I've never done this before at that time. And by no means I'm no expert now. I still got a way to learn, but it was really interesting. I delved into it, so I decided to make my talk today about it. Some cheap promotion there. That's my Twitter. You can follow me. I'm very sociable and I'll interact with you. If you need any help or any guidance or anything like that, any information or something based on this presentation, just let me know. I'll be happy to send you links and I can share my GitHub project with you. So let's get started. So what is augmented reality? Augmented reality is another form of virtual reality where you're not fully immersed in the reality itself. We're still placing the user in the real world with computer-generated objects that the user can either interact with or just understand what's going on with that. And it's a case where, again, like I was saying back to the article, where we wanted the user to be able to see our content another way rather than seeing it through your usual way of images and photos. That way you can get the user in and they can see generated objects of what's going on. And yeah, augmented reality has been around since the late 80s, but early 90s. It's definitely older than me. But it's a concept where it's not really progressed as it should have. It's got so much opportunities to progress, so much potential, but it has not really evolved in that. And my talk is to try and sort of spark a conversation within our developers community to try and push it, because I really believe us mobile developers, web developers, we can actually take augmented reality to another level. And yeah. So any questions just about that, or you're good? You good? You following me? Everyone's awake, cool. So in the last couple of years, we've seen augmented reality go forward have huge success in the mobile industry. We've seen Pokemon Go. I love Pokemon Go. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. So I was kind of happy when this game initially came out. And it was another way. It was like, wow, this is something different. You're interacting with the world and your Pokemon. It was another way that showed that the potential augmented reality has in mobile games. Another game is, I don't know if anyone's played this, but My Tamagotchi Forever. I'm actually addicted to this game. This game is really, really cool. So it's another way for, like, I know most of you, I hope some of you have played Tamagotchi, so you both have an understanding. Basically have a virtual pet. So this one is, again, you're still having a virtual pet, but again, you can take pictures with your virtual pet in an augmented reality for a way. So it's another way to engage with your users rather than a traditional way of playing the Tamagotchi game. And both games have had huge success, and again, it taps into another area that us mobile developers can look into. Then other games, and I've played that's augmented reality on mobile, is Nightfall AR and Jurassic World Alive. Nightfall AR it's a good game, but it's really heavy. It's like 300 megabytes. So yeah, that can take a lot on your phone. But again, it's another way of showing these game worlds in another form of way we can present the user of information. Jurassic World Alive is very similar to Pokemon Go in terms of you're walking around, you're looking for dinosaurs, etc. And yeah, so I think that's a Triceratops. I can't remember what it was. But that's it on my just about to eat my magic mouse. But it was cool, and that way you can, and that is another way of engaging with the users. They can not just play, but they can also learn through augmented reality, which is another good experience. It doesn't have to stick with games as well. We can go through other apps. I was recently playing around with AR stickers in my living room. No, not living room, but my way to my living room. And I just put the Star Trooper there, and AR sticker was immersed. It was the content used in the camera app, which again we can use that in our app. We can make a way to engage with our users another way through AR, like example the way AR stickers did it. And again, it's very interactive, it's fun, it's a new way of engaging with our users. And then there's the other app, IKEA Place, which is very useful. If you're someone who's moving around, you get to show, let's say, a furniture. Here we have a drawer, sort of drawer, and you can see how it looks in your living room or in your bedroom, get a rough idea of how it looks. And it's another way of where we can use AR to help benefit us, which is a really cool way. I think that's a really cool idea. Before you go and buy something that would be like, oh, no, it doesn't fit in my living room or etc. So that's another creative way. Again, you can use it through educational purposes as well, which I feel like it can be used. I was talking earlier how I want to show the the planets in our Telegraph app, where the user can learn a different way, learn visually. And I found these two really cool apps, BBC Civilization app, where it's sort of like you're like in a natural, you're like the British Museum, and it has all these sort of crazy 3D objects that you can interact with and learn. So here we have Earth, I think it was 500 BCs, so just learning about that. It has like a 3D object of King Tutankhamun's tomb, so you can again learn through that, which is really cool. And this is another opportunity for us to give content out there for users to interact with in another way. Then obviously you got the solar system app, which is really cool. This one I'll say is more VR than AR, but it was a case where you're using your phone, and it basically projects the whole room that you're in space with the sun and the rest of the planets. And you can click on each of the planets and it'll give you useful information in terms of the gravity, in terms of its rotational speed, useful information. So it's another way where I feel AR can be used by us in the form of educating us, showing us new ways to view content and learn from our content. And you don't have to use AR as a side way within your app or make a game for AR. You can find ways to integrate it. You can use it through ads like Snapchat. They sort of have an AR module where you can take a picture and have like all sorts of crazy filters and little cartoons jumping around, which is really cool. Here we have L'Oreal using Facebook. Obviously, we all know Facebook is, but they're using their camera to allow the user to show different virtual shades of their makeup. So this again within the Facebook app. So it's a way that we can also interact within our app or any other app, what you would like to do with AR. There's all sorts of stuff you can implement. It doesn't have to be a whole Pokemon Go, or it doesn't have to be a whole educational thing. You can sort of have like ads where you can implement AR, and that way you keep the user engaged with the ads, but also within your app, so everyone sort of wins. So, how can us developers get involved? Well, there's like so many platform libraries and frameworks out there for us lot to play with. So you don't necessarily have to play with ARCore. There's ARKit, which is, from what I've heard from the dark side, that is a really good library to use, and like it allows them not to learn about OpenGL and all that stuff. It's really high level, and it's really easy for them to get started with ARKit. And some of the principles Google have sort of taken from Apple, shock, but made it a bit better for ARCore. Also, you have Vuforia, which is another SDK where you can build cross-platform AR experiences. You have AR.js for web developers who want to use JavaScript to create an augmented reality experience for their users. We have Unity, and Unity is really cool if you want to get quickly started up with AR and make it cross-platform. the downside with Unity is that it does add a lot of, it does increase your APK size to roughly 20 megs, which if you're trying to implement an AR experience, I wouldn't suggest use Unity because you're going to add 20 megabytes for no reason. But if you're doing a full AR app and you want to get started straight away, then Unity is a good place to go. ARCore I have used, and it's a really cool, because when I was trying to get into ARCore, it was a bit tricky. It was like a lot to learn, and I just wanted something to get up and running. And ARCore was a really good platform to use to work with Androids in Java, and you can create your augmented reality experience really quickly. So there's tons of others out there that if you like to get into using AR. So obviously it's an Android, it's a laundry of our Android developers. So I'm going to talk about ARCore. So ARCore is essentially involved from the Tango project which Google had, which was trying to create an augmented reality experience for developers that they can use. They're trying to create augmented reality SDK for developers to use to push augmented reality out there. But it ran through a few issues. It wasn't really picked up and kicked off, but ARCore evolved from that. And yeah, so like I said, it's a platform for building an augmented reality experience for which developers can use. It has 3 key capabilities that you should try and understand with ARCore. The first one is motion tracking. So ARCore uses a process called COM, which is concurrent odometer measuring, and essentially it uses that to understand the world, the user's world around them, and in a way that that ARCore can positionally get some points, and then we can place our 3D object. So it uses the COM, which gets the camera visualization, so the user that info, along with the device IMU, which is the inertia measuring unit, just to understand the phone's position in the world, and that way it's able to build its ARCore experience. Second is environmental understanding. Why ARCore is using visual points to understand the world, is also using planes again to help understand the world. So that way it's using a cluster of feature points that are common in flat surfaces like the floor, table, etc., to help place your 3D object there, horizontally or vertically. It will be able to do that. The one downside I did find about it was if it's like a white wall or a white floor, it finds it really hard to draw a plane on it. So it's still getting there. And the third, but not least, is light estimation. So that way you can create another sense of realism for the user to when the user's in a dimly lit room or brightly lit room. So that way the user can get a sense of realism that this is an ARCore experience. So here we've got our 2 lovely kitties, one's in a light room, one's in a sort of dark room. And you can see how ARCore works in the sense of the shadow effect. And your object is being measured, so that way ARCore can intensify the color and the intensity of it, and that way it can create a sense of realism for the user to understand they're in a dark and light room. So, through my research and all of that stuff, getting started with ARCore, you do have to understand augmented reality is, understand what it is, understand how it can be used for, understand the potential of it, and understand a good foundation of how stuff works. You have to understand the basic concept of 6 degrees of freedom, which I'm going to try and see if I can remember. So it's left, right, forward, back, pitch, roll. Yes. Can I have no applause? I remember that. So, and also you've got to understand 3D art, how 3D art works. I don't really understand how 3D art works. I just go on Google and understand the basis of it. That's enough for me to get started. But if you're going to do this for a production app, you're going to have to understand how you can manipulate these objects. And has anyone used Blender before? It makes you appreciate Gradle time on Android Studio, doesn't it? Yeah, it's really like slow. And yeah, so I was using Blender to help manipulate my 3D objects that I got from the Poly site of Google for this tutorial I'll show. And you've got to understand OpenGL, which is like a crazy subject in itself. And that's what made me starting off with ARCore a bit off-putting, because OpenGL is a big thing. A lot of game developers and graphic developers will know much about OpenGL, and it's a very big subject and topic to understand. But it's something that you will need to try and understand with ARCore, or when trying to build an augmented reality experience for users. Another thing you've got to understand is anchors and tracker boards, which is more, I'm not sure if it's specific to augmented reality, but I know it's for ARCore. And so you're using essentially anchors to place where you are in the position. So when you place an object on that anchor, when you move your camera, the object remains in that place. Then you've got your tracker board, which is tracking where that anchor is sitting. So in all of doing that, we Google, which I'll give it to them, they found out that this was a problem for ARCore in terms of you needed good knowledge of OpenGL and a lot of these complicated stuff. And Google was able to introduce the scene form in Google I/O 18, and it was really cool. And it really helps developers, well, Android developers, to get into augmented reality at a high level. You don't really have to really understand what do you call it? You don't have to really understand the environment too well. It just gives you a high level where you can get started. It draws the trackable and the anchors for you, so you don't have to do any crazy calculation to work out the world around you. And again, SceneForm also helps cover up the OpenGL in such a high level way that you can sort of get started in augmented reality with knowing the basics of OpenGL without knowing the whole full thing. Again, it includes a physical-based renderer, and it's a plugin on Android Studio that you can use to import your 3D renderables, which are just essentially your 3D models, which are meshes, materials, textures, etc. So it's very easy. Once you get the plugin on Android Studio, it will just chuck it into you can put this into your root of your Gradle, then you're pretty much essentially to go. Then on your app Gradle, you can just add the SceneForm library and the UX from a library, then the Google SceneForm plugin. Then you're ready to go. It's really straightforward. So I've got some code here. I don't know how well you can see that. So I can zoom in. Okay, it's a bit better. Cool. Cool. So I've got this awesome class, this Avengers AR class. I don't know, I ran out of names, so I just had to call it that. And it does, just for the ease of this talk, I just did everything essentially in this class. So it's like a God class. I just like to call it Zeus instead. So this is where everything happens here. So when you're getting started with ARCore, with the same form, you essentially set up a fragment here, and you tag the name with Android Core SceneForm UX AR fragment. That allows you that essentially converts that fragment into an AR fragment, which we can then use to implement our AR view. So you get your AR fragment, attach it to your fragment ID in the XML file. Then from there, you're pretty much ready to go. And in using that, it does all the heavy lifting for you in terms of finding the placement of the world, understanding the anchors and trackables, and you're ready to go. Essentially, you just use the scene form to import your 3D object, and there you can drop it into your AR view. So I have a couple of useful, because I wanted to be a case where I took a lot of inspiration from the code lab as well to help me understand how SceneForm works. Then I just essentially use that to present to you guys. So essentially we have the AR set on the update listener again, which is listening up for the updates around the world. And I'm using that information to help understand how I can build the world. Also, I have this little pointer trackable class where essentially it's just a drawable and just helps map the center of the screen. And if the ARCore view is able to track, just set the color to green and just draw an X there. Easy for me. So yeah, so we have our update, which is just again just using the update tracking method, which we're getting from the AR fragment itself to understand what is going on. Is it being able to track the world around it in case, you know, when you're like in a dark room or anything, or in a case where it just can't pick up anything. I needed something to help me understand how I can position my 3D object in the world. And it uses this update hit list, which essentially grabs anywhere that the user's hitting with that ARCore view, and that way I can place my 3D object in there. And again, this is where it gets the trackable, so you can understand where I am in the world, and I want to put my object there. So I've got my initialized gallery, which, just for the sake of this, I'm just gonna essentially put if you can see that, I'm gonna put an image here. Then when the user clicks on that image, my AR view model appears. So this is essentially what that initialized gallery does. I just have to put credit there because I don't, in case this guy is here and could try and sue me. So just throwing it out there. So yeah, then just call the renderable builder. Really straightforward. All this is on the scene form SDK, and just say, okay, time for me to add the object to the scene, which I'm using. I'm using the renderable and the anchor to place my object within my view. Now, the easier form you go to your OBJ file. I've got loads because I was just playing around with it. But you go to your OBJ file, and also you got to keep your OBJ files in the sample data because obviously it doesn't get included into your APK. It's actually the SFB file that will be included in it, and that will be your 3D object. So essentially what you do, you right-click it after you've installed the SceneForm plugin. Right-click, you go to, oh, I don't have the plugin installed, it's in the other computer. But it will appear here, import from SceneForm. You click on it, so I can show you one here actually. Form SDK. That's how I call import it through. So obviously this is just allowing you to how to install the plugin. Then essentially what I was saying is I would have right-clicked it, import using SceneForm. Then this little widget will appear, the SceneForm asset, and it will generate all this for you. So that way you don't have to worry about any of the hard stuff. So as long as your OBJ file and your material file, MTL, is in the sample data, you just point to this using this, then SceneForm will generate the file, the SFB file for you, which is ready to use in your AR view, which is pretty cool. Then it has a little widget. Once you've done that, they'll use the SFB will be read on Android Studio like this. So you've got the JSON file, which will contain the information that you need, and then your model will appear here. So it's really straightforward to get into. Then in doing so, go back to here. After doing that, I was able to add my model into my SceneForm world. This was like, I literally took this yesterday, so you can see my productivity was really low yesterday. So, okay. So, yeah, so I start my Adventure Add activity. As you can see, it's finding the trackable, the anchors. Then from there, a bit too fast, from there, I can click here, click on the image, then my 3D object appears in the AR world. So I'm just going to show you how it works. I had to reduce using Blender, I had to reduce a lot of the quality of the OBJ file because it was just too big. The designer, whoever did it in such a way where it was a big file and it was just going to be crazy size for me to import into the APK. So I just to show how pretty sick it is and how we can get started with SceneForm to start doing our ARCore. So the challenges that we face, not just with ARCore, but with augmented reality, not all mobile devices out there because they need to be running Android 7 and above for the phone to actually allow them, and there's still a limited number of those devices running 7 that can actually run ARCore, Augmented Reality experience. Though there's a workaround you can do with Unity and ARJS as well, so that can help you out. Again, it's, like I said, it is a steep learning curve for developers, and it's a sense where, yeah, again, this was, if you don't want to use Scenes Form, you want to create your own way. If you're like a AAA developer who can create their own game engine and do it. But again, for just an average developer that just wants to get started with ARCore, it is a steep learning curve. And not every app has a use case for ARCore. It's just for AR itself. So again, it's not, you need to understand what is you're trying to engage with your user to do within their augmented reality experience, what you want from them to gain from it, and if it's actually useful or beneficial to your app. And yeah, debugging in ARCore can be a problem. If you've done it, especially if you've written in if you've written the engine with OpenGL, it can be a problem. It'll be hard to debug because you don't understand if it's the equation that I've written or the algorithm that I've written is wrong. So it can be a headache for, I think just working with OpenGL is a headache in period. But again, Unity, again, you can use Unity to get started, but again, you're adding 20 megabytes. So you need to understand, is this really what you want for your app? Also, yeah, just useful information. I don't know if you're only going to remember this, but if you need, you can either follow me on Twitter and I'll be able to give you these links to understand. But if you want to get up and running with ARCore, these are really useful links to go. You could use my sample project here, and just to get a rough understanding of what I did. There is Kotlin in that project as well, so you can just go through and understand what's going on. And of course, you can use you can go through the Sceneform SDK and the example and the code lab as well. That will get you up and running really quickly. And I really like you going to this next reality news. You get so much useful information and inspiration about what's going on in augmented reality and virtual reality, which is really cool. So yeah, that's me.